Well, good morning, everyone. I wanted to spend a few minutes visiting with you before the holiday season to kind of tell you where we are at Oak Financial Group, just a little bit about the economy and a little bit about my travel schedule over the next month's time or so. We are probably 90+% through with the paperwork, our paperwork and your paperwork on transition. We had, as I mentioned before, all told north of 850 households, and in a world controlled by attorneys where there's an unlimited number of pieces of paper and signature, that is a Herculean task for us and for you, and we appreciate your effort in all of that. The biggest holdup we're having right now is insurance companies, annuity companies, etc. in the Northeast and in California that are on lockdown, and people working from home. And what used to take a week for us to aggregate is now taking a month to 6 weeks. And so many of you, when you finally get lined up on Black Diamond where you can see it, you're going to find out that 80% of your assets are there or 90% are showing up. Well, it doesn't mean that it hasn't already been transitioned. It just, everything is running slow and functionally dysfunctional. I would just put it that way. So bear with us. And with your annuity carriers and insurance company carriers in processing our paperwork so we can have all of that where it can be aggregated and you can see it all at one place. Black Diamond is a very impressive software. It was part of why we chose Arcadios. We're learning that software week by week, and it's a very detailed software, has tremendous capability, but it's a learning curve on our part to learn all of it. So we're working through that as quickly as we can. I wanted to spend a little bit of time on the economy. We're in a kind of a strange situation. We have the Build Back Better plan, which is now, it seems, around a $5 trillion program that the Democrats are trying to pass. It appears like that's not going to happen at least this year, but it is definitely putting the economy somewhat in turmoil. So we have, according to government numbers, we are running north of a 10% annualized inflation at this point in time. That's coming from two things. Tremendous amounts of money that have been dumped into the economy, $7 trillion plus already, and supply chain problems. So you have lots of dollars chasing too few goods. And so until the supply chain situation gets rectified, we're going to see some significant inflation. That also causes some gyrations in the market, specifically growth stocks, the ones that have been very successful and a big part of why our portfolios have done so well the last 2 years. Those companies borrow money, and the higher the interest rates are, the higher the expense is they're paying to borrow money. And so those are two issues that I think will resolve themselves. We still have a reopening trade that's going to happen, and that is people who have money and they want to spend money. This latest thing, Omicron, COVID, has also putting a dampening on that. So we've had about the third time in the last 12 months a 5 to 7% sell-off. And we're sort of bottoming out, I think, right now on the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P. And those are pretty minor sell-offs. Normally, in a normal world where the government is not backing up markets and really distorting markets, a 10 to 12, even a 15% sell-off once a year is pretty common. That's been common for many, many years. So all the free money is absolutely distorting our normal markets, the bond markets and the stock market. So we're putting a lot of effort in right now as we're trying to finish up our transition, taking a look at our allocations, if we move more to a value type bend as opposed to a growth type bend. So those are the things that are significant to us and to me personally, thinking about what we want to look at for the next year going forward. We have been, Shelby and I have been on the road a fair amount, and we're going to be on the road a good bit more. We've been in East Texas twice, we've been in Lubbock, we've been in New Mexico, we've been in Florida. But probably mid to late January, we will be in the Hill Country, Texas Hill Country, I should say, and East Texas. So those of you in Tyler, I think we will be there by the end of January. We have a new facility. It's actually the old place that we were before we sold our house on Old Jacksonville Road. And so we will see you at that period of time. Those of you that are in the Texas Hill Country, New Braunfels, San Marcos, Austin area, probably in the same time, the second to the fourth week in January. So to all of you, I wish you happy holidays and God bless you, and to look forward to seeing all of you in the relatively near future. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to have a chance to visit with you. I wanted to send this out before the holidays, just telling everybody happy holidays. I hope you have a great Christmas, New Year's time period, and I hope you have a safe and wonderful time. Obviously, with the new Omicron virus, things are about as crazy as they've been for the last 2 years, and no one exactly knows how that works out. We are probably 90% through with our paperwork and your paperwork on our transition. Now, we still have a lot of work to do because insurance companies, largely in the Northeast and on the West Coast, are weeks, if not a month or more behind in processing paperwork. They still have large numbers of people working from home or not in the office in one way or another, short-staffed. And so the transition, them signing off on my signature and your signature and getting it moved so we can aggregate it on our software, is now taking a month to 6 weeks, and that's frustrating to everybody, but just bear with us. This really is a function of, I would say, COVID and all of the protocols in the New York, New Jersey part of the world, and California, where most of these insurance companies are. A little bit about the economy. I can tell you that there's 2 or 3 things that are causing gyrations right now. Whether or not the Build Back Better plan gets implemented somewhere in the early part of 2022, it's certainly not going to happen by the end of this year. But after $7 trillion worth of money that's been dumped into the economy, the Democrats would like to put another $5 trillion in. So that, amongst other things, is causing significant inflation, higher than we've seen in 40 years. In fact, government numbers say that we are annualized north of 10% inflation. We have not seen inflation like this since the 1970s. That is largely because of supply chain problems and lots of money. People didn't spend money because they were locked down in COVID, as well as free government money. So inflation, quite simply, is too many dollars chasing too few goods, and that's what you see happen here. In addition to that, there are, I would say, this most recent version of COVID basically kind of kicked in the teeth the reopening trade, where all of a sudden retailers were doing great and people were in malls and going to concerts and cruise ships and flying, and all of that's taken a pause again. So 2 things I would tell you about that. First, this 5 to 7% sell-off that we're in the middle of right now as we speak is, I think, temporary. I think we will have a pretty good year in 2022 once this version of COVID is at least in the background to some extent. So we are expecting a respectable 2022 because there is still a sizable reopening trade. The Build Back Better plan will certainly have impact on what sectors in the market do well. In addition to that, I would tell you that inflation will be a major player, and it will have an impact on our portfolios and what we do. So we're looking to see, does this, as the government economists say, basically rectify itself, inflation I'm talking about, in the next 6 months or so, or is it longer term than that? That'll have a big impact on how we move things in our portfolio. So look forward to seeing all of you guys that we have not seen in Tyler and in the Texas Hill Country in the next hopefully 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. And I would say in the interim, I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and look forward to seeing you soon. God bless.
That sounds good.